Live from Charlotte, this is WBTV News on your side.
It is far from over. Tropical Storm Florence brings gusty winds and steady, significant rainfall across our viewing area, and the worst is yet to come. The storm has already caused a tree to fall on a home this evening as a family of 6 was just about to eat dinner.
The storm also creating a mess in other parts of our viewing area. Strong winds from Florence knocked over an awning at a Fort Mill gas station. The storm also knocking over trees in Matthews and in North Charlotte.
And breaking right now, police just made several arrests after people were caught on camera breaking into a Wilmington store to loot it. The reporter who confronted those looters was on hand. This is new drone video, by the way, captured by the North Carolina Coast Guard in Wilmington. And as you can see, plenty of homes and businesses are now dealing with standing water. Good evening. I'm Paul Cameron.
And I'm Molly Grantham. So much going on today across our whole state.
Now, the devastation doesn't look any better from the ground shots, some making their way to safety in waist-deep water as parts of the Carolinas receive more than 30 inches of rain. Meanwhile, more rescues are also being carried out in places like New Bern and Jacksonville. Right now, officials say there are 11 storm-related deaths.
We have live team weather coverage for you tonight, starting with Chief Meteorologist Eric Thomas. Eric, I know you've been tracking this, for days and days. Where do things stand right now?
Molly, the center of the storm is about 40 miles now to the east-southeast of Columbia, South Carolina. All right, when we come back, we'll talk about the wind field and what that might still do to us. It's all part of your 7-day First Alert forecast.
Well, rain is certainly the problem in Wilmington. And right now we're going to go live to our Ron Lee, who is in Wilmington. And Ron, obviously, that's a spot, one of the areas really hit hardest. What kind of damage are people dealing with tonight?
Well, Paul, the damage is absolutely widespread from North to South Carolina, and sometimes that damage is absolute. Take a look at it behind me. You can see this business. They do rental sheds, and most of those sheds have just come off their moorings and smashed into the poles, just disintegrating them. They're going to be dealing with this for quite some time. There is barely a building in this town that we have seen that has not been touched by these hurricane and tropical force winds. Let's take a look at some video that we shot a little bit earlier, and you can see the major problem right now are trees down, and get this place back to the tourist hotspot that it has been for a lot of years. Live in Wilmington, I'm Ron Lee, WBTV, on your side.
Ron, thank you, and continue to stay safe. Scary moments for a family of 7 in Gastonia after fire officials say a tree crashed through the roof of their home. You can see it in this picture. The tree nearly split the home in half. Fire officials say this happened as the family was getting ready to eat dinner. Amanda Foster is live from where that tree fell. Amanda, first and foremost, is that family okay?
Yeah, Molly, I spoke to the homeowner tonight. He says everybody incredibly is okay after this house, like you said, just basically split their house in half. I want to show you what that's looking like right now. You can see there it came just into that living room area. The tree company came here to look at it. They're going to try to get this off as early as tomorrow. Back to you guys.
Okay, Amanda Foster reporting live. Thank you. Right now, the winds are picking up across the Charlotte area as that squall comes through.
I walked outside in the past hour, and you can really feel a difference. Meteorologist Lee Brock continues our team coverage right now. Lee.
Yeah, actually, Paul came over here and he said, what's going on? The winds are really picking up. And yep, you're exactly right. They're going to get stronger overnight, but it's going to be a long 24 hours before that happens. We'll send things back to you.
Okay, Lee, thank you. Right now, thousands of people are in the dark as the storm's rain and winds knocked out power. This is a current look at the Duke Energy's outage map. You can see it is lit up tonight. More than 1,500 people are in the dark in Union County. In Mecklenburg County, more than 6,000 people are without power. And breaking tonight, the situation is dire in Lumberton, North Carolina, where the Lumber River is again flooding. That is the same area that was underwater 2 years ago after Hurricane Matthew.
Now, police have just shut down 2 sections of I-95 because of the high water. Waters have already started to rise in one neighborhood, forcing people to leave their homes. National Weather Service says the river is expected to rise another 10 feet by tomorrow afternoon. We're going to be watching this situation very closely overnight and into tomorrow. And breaking tonight, police say they have arrested 5 people accused of looting a Dollar General store in Wilmington. Now, we showed you this. A reporter from our sister station in Wilmington was there watching as people were breaking into the store and walking out with bags of stolen merchandise. Many of them covered their faces as they walked out of the store. Police were initially told not to interfere, so that reporter tried to confront some of the looters.
Right now, we're going to stay with this situation. Items in hand, guys. Hey, guys, you know you're looting, right? You know you're stealing.
Well, after looking at that video, Wilmington police say charges against the 5 people arrested are now pending.
And next here at 11 o'clock, as Florence is expected to bring another day of rain to our area, people in Cramerton are concerned about the Catawba River. We're going to tell you how people there are preparing for that threat of flooding.
And Molly, we're in York County where we've seen a lot of the rain, but really the wind has been the story so far, causing some major damage to some of the structures here, especially in Fort Mill. We'll show you that after the break. But first, here's Eric.
All right, Ben, well, brand new data just in. We now have the 11 o'clock track for Florence and the impacts, of course, on the Western Carolinas and the WBTV viewing area. Stay tuned. It's all coming up in your First Alert forecast.
WBTV News starts right now with breaking news.
And that breaking news, police giving more information as to why there was a heavy presence at a North Charlotte Dunkin' Donuts. Right now, police are not looking for any suspects. Good Friday evening. I'm Maureen O'Boyle. We've got a lot to get to tonight. They say a man with a gunshot wound showed up to the location off Beatties Ford Road and Sunset Road. They say this was connected to a domestic-related shooting on Luke Drive. Police say the shooter is the one who called police. The person who was shot is expected to be okay. Police did not say whether any arrests have been made. Also breaking tonight, we now have the final vote total in the race for House District 9. Now that the absentee and provisional ballots have been counted, Republican Mark Harris has defeated Democrat Dan McCready by a total of 905 votes. Harris had already declared victory last week, and McCready also conceded. Harris will take the seat of Robert Pittenger, who he defeated in the primary. Well, a bombshell discovery made at a Cleveland County home. Deputies found an entire meth lab built in the basement, and the homeowners say they knew nothing about it. Right now, the family is horrified after sheriff's deputies found the lab. 2 people are in jail tonight because of that discovery. Deputies say the family had agreed to let a relative live with her boyfriend in the basement. Well, during their stay, they allegedly built the lab that no one ever knew about. WBTV's Bria Bell was there as investigators were at the home. It's all new on Primetime.
The actions of Tanya Wilmarth Cargo, who is 38, and her 50-year-old boyfriend Robert Plummer has disturbed a community in Shelby.
Right now, time is adding up as investigators continue the search to find Hania. This is a story that we've been following from the very beginning. 276 hours. That's how long it's been since the FBI says 13-year-old Hania Aguilar was abducted. The FBI has now called her disappearance their case of the week. The FBI also expanding their resources to both radio and online. They made a public service announcement asking for your help. Take a listen to some of the audio.
Hania's family calls her their princess, and they desperately miss her, and they just want their princess home.
If you have any information, please call the tip line at 910-272-5871.
The FBI is also offering a $25,000 reward for information leading to Hania or her kidnapper. The search began last week in Lumberton when authorities say a man forced Hania into a car and drove off. This happened just before 7 a.m. as she was waiting to go to school. Well, the SUV wanted in the kidnapping was then found 3 days later, but her kidnapper was nowhere to be found. Then later that day, the FBI released this surveillance video of a man walking in the area where Hania was kidnapped. They still want to speak with this man, but they want to know if he has any information about the kidnapping. This past Tuesday, Hania's mother released this handwritten message saying she trusts in God that her daughter will return. She also asked anyone who knows something to please come forward. Well, also, Elizabeth Smart's father tonight is coming forward, offering his insight into this Amber Alert case. Smart's daughter was taken, you may remember, at knife point from their Utah home back in 2002. She was found alive 9 months later. Ed Smith is now an advocate for tracking down missing children. Smart says it's important the community never gives up hope.
Really, the best advice was to keep Elizabeth's picture out there. I mean, to work in the community on children's issues, to try to find any vehicle that could help keep her picture out there. Well, our prayers are certainly with the Aguilera family, and we pray and hope that things will come to a quick close for them in a very good way.
We certainly hope so. Once again, you can still call the FBI tip line 910-272-5871. Right now, the search is on for the man accused of killing a Mooresville teacher in Mexico. This as we're getting more information about his death. According to our partners at the Charlotte Observer, the governor of Chihuahua, Mexico, says a drug trafficker killed Patrick Braxton Andrew. He says the man, who is known as El Chueco, is the one who killed him. Translated to English, El Chueco means the crooked. The governor is also calling the murder cowardly and says state authorities are hunting for El Chueco tonight.
Live from Charlotte, this is WBTV News, on your side.
Now at 11.
Utterly devastated. That's the only word I can really think about to describe how so many of us are feeling in this community.
The Mooresville community deals with the loss of one of their young officers.
This isn't a number for us. This is a real person.
Officer Jordan Sheldon, killed during a traffic stop. Now, support and tributes are pouring in not only from our area, but around the country.
We're going to miss him. We're going to miss his smile. We're just going to miss everything. As so many deal with this tragedy, the department asks us not to forget the other officers left behind.
Show your officers you love them, because they're going to need it.
And good evening, I'm Ben Williamson. It's good to have you with us here late on this Sunday. The Mooresville community still coming to terms with the loss of K-9 officer Jordan Sheldon. Police say he served under the department for 6 years and lost his life at the age of 32. Tonight, we're still working to find out the reason behind last night's traffic stop and what led to those shots being fired. Police say Officer Sheldon pulled over a car on West Plaza Drive shortly after 10. They say he was conducting a routine traffic stop when he was shot. He was rushed to the hospital where he later died. Now, according to the police chief, he was wearing his body camera at the time, but it was not turned on. Today, Mooresville Mayor Miles Atkins says he and this community are devastated by the loss.
This isn't a number for us. This is a real person. And we're heartbroken. And the pain and sorrow that we feel is, I can't express it.
Now, police say 28-year-old Michael Aldana is the one who carried out that shooting. They say he ran away from that scene, but was later found dead at a nearby apartment. Authorities confirmed he shot and killed himself. According to the Iredell County Sheriff's Office, Aldana was arrested back in April, but bonded out this past Thursday. He was also, we know, known to the Mooresville Police Department. And right now, we are hearing some of the radio traffic that was going on right after Officer Sheldon was shot. Now, I went through about an hour and a half of audio, and during that time, you can hear officers responding to help Officer Sheldon shut down that entire area and also quickly work to try and track down the suspect at that apartment complex nearby. Here's just a small portion of some of those radio calls.
Officer down, officer down. Reference gunshot wound, 220 West Plaza Drive, be it Randy Marion Cadillac. Same one involved a Mooresville police officer. Find out where EMS is at. The closest unit to bring them in, code 3.
In that audio, you also hear officers talking about Sheldon's K-9 still in his car after that shooting.
The police department released these photos of Officer Sheldon and his canine, Ramon. You can see, obviously, those two had a very close and special bond. And take a look at this morning's procession that was held in honor of Officer Sheldon. This is video that CMPD posted to their Twitter page. Sheldon's body was transported from Carolina's Medical Center in Charlotte to the medical examiner's office. Dozens of his fellow officers from not only here in our area but across the state came out to salute his service to his community. And many people came out for tonight's vigil that was held in Officer Sheldon's honor. This was at Mooresville Commons. They prayed together, they sang together, they lit candles together. Two of Officer Sheldon's colleagues from the K-9 unit were there and they spoke. They say Sheldon was not only a good man but also a great officer. They say he wasn't the type of person to sit around waiting for a call.
Officer Sheldon is representative of Mooresville in the way that you want to look at to be a police officer. Officer Sheldon was doing his job. He was being proactive as he always is. And Officer Sheldon will not be forgotten.
The Mooresville police chief was also there asking the community for their support as they continue to move forward. And much of that support has already been seen right outside the police department. That's where Sheldon's own police cruiser has been turned into a memorial. People of all backgrounds took time out of their Sunday to remember that young officer. And they spoke to WBTV anchor Alex Giles on why they felt it was so important.
We saw an outpouring of support for the Mooresville Police Department throughout the day Sunday. It didn't take long at all for people to decorate the car of Officer Sheldon with balloons and flowers. This was all done by folks who, whether they knew him or not, wanted to thank this police officer for his service to the community. Ethan Wyatt shed a few tears as he paid his respects to Officer Jordan Sheldon Sunday afternoon. Wyatt was never helped by him, never even knew him. So why the tears? Turns out this young man comes from a law enforcement family.
Brothers like him, they come out and they put their life on the line every single day to protect the community, and it just happened to be that he had to pay the ultimate sacrifice.
At just 32 years old, Sheldon's life was taken during a traffic stop Saturday night. Less than 24 hours later, his cruiser was covered with flowers, balloons, and stuffed animals. All this thanks to people like Michelle Roerick.
He always checked in on me and my daughters. He came to my daughter's school, did career day with his canine. Everybody loved, he was a well-loved guy.
Roerick says Officer Sheldon had come to her aid at tough times. She admired him for the way he treated people.
We're gonna miss him. We're gonna miss his smile. We're just gonna miss everything.
Darren Jones brought this large sign to place in front of Sheldon's cruiser. He says the officer befriended his son's class in school through the Adopt a Cop program.
One thing that really stood out is at the beginning of the school year, they asked him what he wanted for his gift basket, and he deferred anything for himself and just said he wanted gift cards for his canine. So that seemed to be the kind of person that he was. He was very selfless.
Davina Dempsey brought her children to the memorial to teach them a life lesson.
I wanted my kids to understand the magnitude of this situation and to understand that this officer who protected and served our community gave his life.
No matter the connection to Sheldon, the overall message from most is very similar.
Thanks for being the person you were.
Thank you for everything you did for us. Thank you for everything. Thank you for protecting us. Thank you for giving your life. Thank you for being a part of our community. Just thank you.
Even the sporadic rainy weather we had Sunday didn't stop people from coming out to pay their respects to Officer Sheldon. As you can see behind me, folks are still coming to get a glimpse of the cruiser well after the sun has set. Reporting in Mooresville, Alex Giles, WBTV, on your side.
Alex, and I'm sure that memorial will continue to grow. WBTV staying on top of Officer Sheldon's death. Will continue to follow this story in the days to come. Of course, we'll have more coverage on WBTV News this morning, starting up tomorrow at 4:30 a.m. All right, certainly was no shortage of rain this weekend. Things finally starting to dry themselves out a little bit tonight. Meteorologist Lindsay DePass is joining us now in the First Alert Weather Center. Lindsay, pretty rough weekend considering. Do we dry out any for the work week?
Yeah, and it was unfortunate since we had so much going on outside this weekend that we did end up with rain both days. I'll let you know how cool it gets overnight. Coming up, 7-day First Alert forecast, Ben.
Well, today, friends and family said goodbye to a man being called a hero following the deadly shooting at UNC Charlotte. Police say 21-year-old Riley Howard tackled the gunman who opened fire inside that classroom. They say this gave other students a chance to escape. And today, hundreds attended his funeral at Lake Junaluska in North Carolina. Whether you knew the name before this week or not, you most likely do now. Riley Howell, the student police call a hero for saving the lives of other students while losing his own.
But maybe it was that God moved the levers that put Riley in that classroom on that day at the exact time for the purpose of saving others.
Hundreds gather in Western North Carolina to say their final goodbyes to the 21-year-old.
Thank you for being the big brother I never had. Thank you for being my hero before you were everyone's.
Friends and family shared stories of a young man that loved the outdoors, loved adventure, loved his family, and loved his girlfriend, Lauren.
You know everyone's name, you know how to make them feel special and included and heard, which is a priceless gift. And you taught me how to take life a little less seriously, to be able to enjoy every moment that you're given.
We also learned that at just 3 years old, Riley learned sign language in order to speak to his uncle who is deaf. And in one of the most powerful moments, the entire congregation held up the sign for I love you.
I want all of you to do this with me. All of you. Now let's tell Riley we love him.
Howell was also given full military honors, and the flag was presented to his family. His sister finished with a challenge for us all.
Make an effort to be kind, to be intentional, to be selfless, and to always treasure not only your family and loved ones, but everyone around you.
Those in the Charlotte community also made that trip to the funeral. This included CMPD officers who have already said Riley saved lives and gave police more time to respond. We also know he was a member of the school's ROTC program, and tonight veterans are making sure his legacy lives on forever. WBTV's Anne-Marie Haggerty joining us live in the studio to explain a little bit more about that.
Right, Ben. Riley Howell remembered for the light and life he brought to everyone that he knew. The hall today was packed with hundreds to commemorate the special life that he lived and lost.
Riley was a lion. He was a lion, and everybody wants to be a lion, but when it's time to do lion stuff, that's what separates them.
Riley Howell, called a hero by police for sacrificing himself while trying to stop a shooter at UNC Charlotte. CMPD officers from the University Division came to Riley's funeral service today.
It's not the possibility of saving lives. Riley definitely saved lives.
Before that, family and friends say he touched lives.
He was one of those people that you didn't even have to know or you just first met, and he just stole your heart.
Riley's longtime girlfriend, Lauren's roommate, say they held her close when she got the news.
We were with her the night that it happened, and I don't know, I guess today was the first time that it was real.
You never think it's going to happen to you until it happens.
Full military honors at his service today. Fitting, says Riley's ROTC instructor here today from UNC Charlotte.
He stood out, for his overall stature, his overall demeanor, very calm, very pleasant, and very warm. And he also stood out because his long hair.
Others came from Charlotte today with a military honor for Riley.
We're going to honor him in the same ways that he honored this country by inducting him into a Hall of Fame.
Awards and honors all taken into account, the impact that his life made on the community clear at his service today.
This was a wonderful way to memorialize him so everyone can understand not just that few minutes of his life, but the way he lived his entire life.
Riley's family members announced at the service today they're starting the Riley Howell Foundation that will help other families who've had loved ones impacted by mass violence, including the family of Ellis Parlier, who's the other student who lost his life in the UNC Charlotte shooting. Ben.